Hi guys, Luis here with a different video for what I usually do. Just wanted to talk to you guys about my guitars and how I get my guitar tones, bass tones. Wanted to start like a little series teaching about how I get my sound, maybe teaching how I mixed some of my songs, and give you guys some mixing and mastering tutorials and just little bits, tricks, things that I use, that I've learned. So I want to show you guys how I do my stuff. So let's get right to it. So this is one of my first guitars. This is Squier, Fender Squier 50 anniversary one. Can check the logo right here. This guitar has a funny story. When I was learning, I had another guitar that I don't own anymore. When I was in my church, I just found this one abandoned in a storage room, and when I asked for whose guitar is this, they told me, well, it was supposed to be for your father to play in the church, but the thing is, my father plays acoustic guitars. He isn't used to play electric guitar. So I asked them, well, then can I keep it? And they said, yeah, you can take it. I was like, yep, mine now. So this, even though it's Squier, it has some Squier things. It's a great guitar, and I'm planning to just upgrade it in due time. Mainly electronics, the bridge, it's total garbage. Tuners, maybe going for looking tuners here. And after that, maybe thinking of changing the pickups, but not necessarily. These sound actually really good. For about the wood, I don't know what wood the bought is, because the information about this guitar is a bit scarce and there's a lot of conflicting things about this specific model. It is made in China, and just before Squier went for the Affinity model. It's on that great period. But it's very light, very easy to play. I refretted it, so I don't play it that much anymore. But after that, when I play jazz and stuff like that, this is my go-to guitar every time. So now to my next guitar. So this is my Ibanez GSA 60. This is the first guitar I bought for myself. At the time, it worked. With time, I just stopped liking the neck of Ibanez guitars. It has a very cool color. I love this color, especially when you're on stage and lights are reflecting to you. This color just works really well. It has withstood a bit of abuse for me when I was learning guitar. And you can see I don't play it anymore, that I have strings broken. There was a client of mine playing recently for a record, and he was just bending the hell out of the strings, and it just broke. I haven't thought about changing the strings ever since, because I just don't use it. I might just do it because maybe someone wants to play it when they come. I think that it has a problem with the truss rod anyway, so. But it's here. I'm not getting rid of it, I think. This is, just forget about this thing. It was a crazy price at the time. But time to the next guitar. So many of you guys that have checked my videos before know that this is my main guitar. Well, the Ibanez was the one that I started playing here in my channel. This is the one that just stuck with me. This is a Taylor SB1X. Way back when Taylor were making electric guitars back in 2006, 2007. And these are great guitars. I don't know what happened that they stopped making these, but it's just great. I love the neck, how I play, how I can access the high frets. These humbuckers are 3/4 humbuckers. They are not single coils, they are not mini humbuckers. They are like own kind of thing. They are low output and they have this kind of vintage style sound. Not quite. They sound different. That's how can I describe them. They don't drive amps that hard, but I don't know, there's something about them that I really like, and that's why this is become my main guitar. Right now, as most of these models, the 5-way switch is damaged. The bridge pickup is the only one that works, but I have to just change the switch, but I haven't bring myself to it. Even though I can do it. It's just a great guitar. It's really thin. SG gives some kind of vibe to it. Really light. Well, not really. But it doesn't neck dive or anything. It's very stable. Very nice to play with it. I wouldn't change this guitar for anything. The only thing I'm thinking is maybe getting a baritone guitar or 7-string. Haven't decided just yet. But that's it. Time for the bass. So this is my bass. This is a Tobias Deluxe 5, I think. Not very sure about that one. So far, for what I've gathered, this is the Deluxe 5 for pictures, and I know model of it. But yeah, not specifically for metal. It's kind of thin sounding. I cannot trick it so it can sound better. But it's pretty decent bass. You can do a lot with it. Took me some time to get used to it since I'm mostly a guitar player. But after that, it works really well. Using me in a while playing with it. But I'm thinking of getting another bass just for playing metal, since this was a gift. But I can't really appreciate it, and I just work with it. So from my guitar, I go to a DI box. I always record a DI track with my guitars and bass. Just in case something happens, I can make some changes with BSTs or reamping, or whatever I need. This has saved me a couple of times. I made some tonal mistakes, and just reamping just works wonders. From this one, I go to my main pedal that I'm going to show you in a moment, and from the pedal it goes back into another DI box and then to my sound card. So my main distortion preamp is the Revv G3. This is an amazing pedal. Revv has done a great job with bringing their signature channel down to a pedal form. This is based off of the Revv Generator 120, the purple channel, and I don't know how they did it, but it's a really accurate representation of it. I quad track my guitars, and I have one setting for one pair and one setting for the second pair. The first pair, bass is at 11 o'clock, metal it's around 2 o'clock, treble it's about 3 o'clock, volume is at noon, gain it's about 10 o'clock, and the aggression switch is on the red channel. The aggression is kind of like when you have a overdrive in front of an amp to make it more aggressive and distort a lot more. And yeah, it sounds great. For the second pair of guitars, I have a more scoop sound. Bass is around 5 o'clock, metal is down to 7 o'clock, and treble it's all the way up. Same volume, same aggression, same gain. The difference is, since I have a more mid-focus guitar and a scoop one with more treble and more bass, when you combine the two you get a really big full range guitar tone. I learned that trick from Glenn Fairker from Spectre Sound Studios, and it's just an amazing trick that works wonders for your really aggressive metal tones. For bass, I use different settings. Bass is all the way up. Bass metal, it's about 11 o'clock. I might change it depending. And treble, it's around 2 o'clock. Volume in the same place. Gain almost down to 7 o'clock. I may change it depending on the song. And the aggression switch off. That means it's the less distortion this pedal can give. I combine the sound with the sound of the DI track to get a more gritty, aggressive sound from my bass. Bit of trick I learned. I'm gonna tell you that the rest of the signal chain there. It's almost the same as the guitar here and out, but yeah, that's the settings I use. So in my DAW, both guitars and bass tracks, the one from the G3, go to Ignite Amps TSA Power Simulator. I use this to get a bit more resonance and a bit more presence from the G3. Before I use Ignite Amps Emissary for my main distortion, before I got the G3 pedal, it works great for a free VST. It's amazing for a free VST, but it lacks some areas that the G3 covers. And since now I don't have a power section simulated, I use the TSA one. I think it's TSA, I might be wrong. There you're gonna see the settings. I use resonance, I think it's 2.5, presence is all the way up, and depth is 1/2. The only difference between my two settings with this one, because I use two settings, it's all the left guitars you use 6L6 simulator, and on the right ones use EL34 simulation, just to kind of have different tonal qualities in both, sounding the same but not the same at the same time. You get the idea. Bass is the same thing but in 6L6s. Then I go to Pulse, which is a air loader for my cabinets. I have Glenn Fricker's producer pack from Lancaster Audio. It's an amazing IR pack, a lot of options. just 4 cabinets, but enough sounds from those 4 to do whatever you want. For my guitars, for the mid-focus ones, I use the revv cabinet with vintage 30s and ET90s. They have the 4 speakers. They have 2 vintage 30 and 2 ET90s. They sound. It's a really interesting sounding cabinet. And I use one of the combinations of microphones there. And for the scoop ones, I use the angle cap with a Friedman technique. Since angle caps are more scooped and more trebly, so it complements how the scoop sounds and makes it sound a bit more different than the other. For bass, I use the same revv cabinet, but with a different microphone. And with the bass, that's that full signal, the revv with the power amp, and that cabinet, I combine it with the DI track. I then EQ it, process it, and compress it. Out it goes. And the guitars, after that, I just add some compression and EQ, and that's about it. So that's it. That's my signal path and my guitars. If you have any other question, just leave it in the comments below for my next video. And don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel so you can see more covers and more videos like this, me explaining about my stuff and giving some guitar mixing and mastering tips. So see you guys.